Yeah, and we're live. Hello, everybody.
Okay, wait. The cute little funny I thought that we had just before this, I would have rather that have been the opening, yet you were trying to trick me into it. Yet I had to vomit
yeah, we would
into
have
the
rather
mic.
have had the funny be the thing, but I wasn't ready for the funny. I was ready for the
I
vomit.
had to fucking
Hi,
I had to vomit
Liz.
into the mic. Good to see you, Lizzie.
Hope you've had a good New Year.
Welcome to the fucking thought bubble.
Welcome to the
God
fucking
damn it.
thought bubble.
Welcome to the motherfucking thought bubble. You ready?
Motherfucking welcome to the motherfucking thought bubble. New year, new us. We're just gonna say motherfucking all the time.
We're gonna say motherfucking before every sentence. This is gonna be a dude bro podcast before you know it.
Let's fucking go. I can't wait to shill for AI.
I think I felt one of my ribs just shrivel in my fucking chest. Is that a crap? Or am I just indigested?
Happy New Year's. our first show of the new year is going to be talking about last year.
Basically, yeah.
Basically. One thing I wanted to start with, I wanted to see if we could remember like important notes that happened in our life throughout this last year that we might not have even ended up mentioning too much on the podcast, which I mean, not necessarily like private things. I know you've had a lot of that, but
yeah,
you've had a lot.
I was
going
just gonna
on.
say, I think, especially based on how I conduct myself here, I think the only things I have not mentioned on here are things I don't want to mention on here. But if you want to go over a bunch of shit,
well, like, go over like, a bunch of important
Sure.
things that's happened in our lives. One I didn't end up mentioning, I remember it being in the notes, and I was just like, I'm over it. And I ended up telling you about it off of the podcast. I mean, it's technically mentioned in every episode because it's above me. It's above my little PNG tuber. But like, I'm somewhere in the non-binary area. That happened this year.
When did you
didn't
move?
really mention it. And I don't even remember, to be honest. You could go back into the show's history and find when the non-binary heart.
How's the rent?
Oh, that's never good. But the economy.
Yeah.
But I'm somewhere in there. But I mean, I feel like I added quite a number of flags to my collection this last year. I don't remember if Ace was this past year or the year before. I want to say it was the year before. But sometime in the last, year and a half, I figured out I'm somewhere on the Ace spectrum. And then this year, I collected non-binary, I collected pan-romantic, and I collected polyamorous. So, got a lot of additions.
Yeah. Whenever I see like past a certain amount of flags, like associated like with labels for a particular person, I just remembered to put my phone on vibrate. There we go. Okay. Yeah, past a certain amount of flags, I tend to assume that one or two of them contradicts with one another, which, by the way, for the record, is not true. It can happen technically. It's not always, but that's one of my old biases. Yeah, I think especially because part of like my comfort in my labels is like keeping them down to only like two or three, like down to a few, because like simplicity is also like part of the necessity of it for me. But yeah, I'd love for you to explore that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just been figuring out so much like assumptions I've made about myself based on how society assumes things. And how people around me, where it's just like, oh, I'm supposed to be, like sexual, and it's like, not necessarily. I don't need that. It does not bring me very much. And I, before, it was very prominent in kind of who I was the lesbian label. I grew out of that for multiple reasons. Not tiny bit was me figuring out I had more attraction than just for women. It was just I didn't meet the right people to be attracted to for a long time.
Is it okay to say you still have lesbian vibes?
I mean, I think I just have queer vibes at this point.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. Yeah.
Like, it's not specifically lesbian. I'm not out here fucking crying about gold stars or anything, but
You get on one
I'm
motorcycle, and I am never gonna let you
I'm
live it down.
I'm never riding a motorcycle. That shit's a death trap.
That kind of surprises me,
Absolutely
not gonna
not.
lie. Especially because you don't put a fucking
Never.
case on your phone.
That's not a death trap. Like, I'm not gonna die
You
if my
say
phone
so.
breaks.
But you're an iPhone user,
If
of
I
course you
die because my phone breaks, there was something else happening.
will. The phone got lodged in your forehead.
Yeah, like it's not the phone breaking that did it. It was it was something else.
Wherefore art thou?
But yeah, I think a lot of the progression in me understanding myself has made my life significantly better in many ways. Like polyamory, I think it's going to surprise some people. Maybe the most important realization I've ever had about myself.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. No. Sorry. That sigh was not at all what it sounded like. I just because it's like every single time we have this conversation, there's another like whole paradigm shift, perspective change on like, oh, another way to see you, just very, very differently. Despite the fact that, of course, you're still Ashley. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
just like, because that's nowhere near what I would have guessed for you as the most important discovery about you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because like my transness is very important to me and is a
Sure.
very big part of me. However, I think my fucking mic arm broke and it's really bugging me because it doesn't sit where I want it to sit anymore. So if you hear me fucking with my microphone, that's what's happening. But obviously my transness is a very important part of me. And is probably second on the list right below polyamory. But the euphoria I get from being whatever version of gender I am at the time is amazing, but it is nowhere near the euphoria I get when I hear my partner on the phone getting loved on by their other partner. Like, that's fucking amazing.
Oh.
I
Do you
love
mean
that
loved
shit.
on in any specific way? Like, is that a specifically sexual thing, or can it be just
No,
sensual
not
or
sexual.
romantic? Okay.
Just romantic. I don't
Okay.
listen in on their fucking.
Listen, I
but-
wouldn't judge if you did.
Yeah, I don't do that. Like, it's the ace, not really a big thing
Also, I don't
for
think you
me.
would have. I don't think you would have talked about it here if it was a
Yeah,
fucking thing.
no. That's for the Pornhub podcast anyway. Which I can't
Of
get
course,
on.
you'd invite me
My
onto
state has
that.
banned on my state
Oh
banned
my
Pornhub.
god! I forgot yours was one of them.
Yep. But yeah, so like that happened last night. It was New Year's, so I was on the phone with them when New Year's hit for them. And when that happened, obviously they did a New Year's kiss together. Which sucks that I wasn't there, but they did that, and well, as much as they could. They're currently sick, so it was like a forehead kiss. But it was really cute.
Oh.
They're very cute together, and I absolutely love hearing them be all lovey-dovey on each other. And that it outweighs any euphoria I get from basically anything else. Like I love
that
the
makes
love.
sense. Yeah.
And eventually I'll probably have another partner at some point, so I'm going to be getting love from all directions. It's going to be great.
It's just like
We'll
love
see
is
about
just
that though.
love is just so fucking good. It's like
Yeah, I love love.
Yeah, I like this New Year's because my partner and I are long distance for those who don't know, and we're also in 2 different time zones, and so conveniently our New Year's were an hour apart. But yeah, basically I got to spend it with my family at midnight, and then like come into a call with them just after midnight on their end, and Yeah, no, it's just like that euphoric feeling of just like you just l- even just by proximity. In that case, it was direct, but like with yours, just like I could go on all day about like how it's so incredibly underrated if you know how to do it in like a fun or wholesome way to be a third wheel. I know that you're not talking about that kind of thing, but I love
Yeah.
being just so proxemic to people who have that kind of connection and just like being this like extra tag along third perspective that can also like say shit the other two probably can't say. Like a little quippy here and there, nothing too obtrusive, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. But was very lucky to be able to spend it with my partner. So we did it twice because like I'm not with my family right now. So like I wasn't
Mm.
spending my time with anybody else anyway. So like when mine rolled around, um we were on call, and then an hour later we got back on call for theirs because
Aww.
they're also in another time zone. So that was fun, and that's when all of that New Year's kiss and shit happened. Hopefully end of January, maybe first week of February, I'm going to go visit them. So don't necessarily expect a thought bubble on any of those weeks, but we'll see. We'll see how it
Okay.
works. But
Wait, what time frame again?
it was like end of January, beginning February. One of those weeks where, and depending on when I leave, it might be 2 weeks in a row if I leave and get back on a Wednesday.
That's surprisingly soon. I mean, I'm by all means, I was just shocked that it's that close.
Oh yeah, we haven't gotten a specific date down, but hopefully getting into another week passing, I'm going to be able to do that.
God, I love New Year's so much. In terms of like, because there's holidays that I like better in terms of like the cute, bouncy, flashy shit. But in terms of like wholesome connections, I don't think there's any holiday that hits such a specific, direct, potent, and universal note as a good like piece of New Year's affection, you know, of any kind, whether it's with a familial or platonic or with your partner or just like because everybody experiences the clock striking that, and that's what it's about. And then whatever interaction happens, then it's just so extra special. It's like that one Home Alone quote, just like you know, good deeds count for extra this time of year. Yeah, but instead it's love. Yeah.
Yeah, New Year's great. I
Hmm.
am glad. So it rained here at midnight. So nobody, like one person, was doing fireworks outside, and I was very happy about that.
That sounded like
Fuck
a little fart in
fireworks.
the sky.
Well, they were close, so it was a bit louder than I wish it was, but I'm glad it was just one person doing it, not the entire fucking street.
Right. I just I I I kind of wish that like if when fireworks are in heavy rain, I just have this little thought of it just go like and instead of like like just I don't know, thinking that the rain makes it soggy a little bit in some way.
Yeah, like I wouldn't want to do it when it's wet outside. That just feels
Mhm.
miserable. I don't know why they were doing it. One of my neighbors, fuck them. They're crazy anyway. Um, but so 2025 is here, which is crazy. Didn't think I'd make it this far.
Yeah. This
I'd like
episode
to thank the
this episode
Academy.
yeah, we should call this episode for the thought bubble as we're hunkering down project 2025 I think is
Yeah,
appropriate.
yeah. I
An
thought you were gonna say
appropriate little
episode 1.2025.
yeah. Yeah.
The next
Uh,
week's is episode 2.2025. See, now I kind of want to do
like,
that. I hate that I want to do that.
you know what? That's on you if you want to keep track of that.
I mean, we don't even number them. We haven't
Thought
numbered
bubble.
them. We've
Stardate
never numbered these
1.2025.
episodes.
We're gonna have a you know what? Star Trek doesn't, so the thought bubble is now going to have a functioning Stardate system across episodes. You have it on you have it on our word. We are going to maintain it, and you can check back in the footage if you're viewing from far in the future.
But we're gonna retcon all of the star dates that happened before this point.
Like we're actually
They're
going
gonna
to
be
attempt
wrong in the
making-
new system, but everything
We're
going
going to-
forward.
We are going to legitimately every time attempt a legitimate system, and every single time retcon it within an unreasonable amount of time.
Yeah, we're gonna do it in next week's episode. Forget about it the week after, and then do a new one the week after that.
But still have it on the normal naming scheme, and so it's like we skipped one, and like you should have just continued from where you were to make it less confusing for people in the future. We're not going to do that.
No, we're gonna make it as confusing as possible because it's
Welcome to
funny.
the thought bubble.
That's the thought in Bubble. You got to think about it.
Hosted by Two Thoughts.
So
I don't know if I should have said that.
2025.
I a little bit regret that.
So last week we talked about how I couldn't remember my yearly theme, what I had decided on for this new year. And I never remembered it. But I have a new one that I think is going to hit all of, if not even more of the same notes that I wanted from the previous one with a better word. I don't remember what the old one was, but I know this one's better.
Okay.
2025 is my year of decision.
Ah,
And
that's a
now
good one.
a lot of people who heard last week's episode might be wondering, how the fuck does that fit anything I said? And I will explain it. I have 3 notes that kind of lay out what I'm wanting to get out of this. And this might sound like resolutions. No, not necessarily. These are just kind of what I was thinking about when I chose this word. I want to actively think about what I am doing, what I'm choosing to do, and make a conscious effort to remember everything I do is a choice. And it's not just like, oh, it just happened because it happened. It happened because I did it. Which has been a problem. Like a lot of times I'll just like go blast through a day and not even think about what I'm doing. And at the end of it be like, oh, well, that just happened. It's like, no, I did that. It didn't just happen. I want to make decisive action on the things I care about instead of kind of wishy-washy. I flop between wanting to do a lot of things and wanting to do those things in many different ways. So I'll have like 3 things I want to do and 5 ways I want to do it for each one. And I want to cut down on that because it leads to me not doing anything.
Do you use any flowcharts? Because I feel like this might help you with a lot of your ideas. Like, just you can dispose of parts of it at whatever time you need, but like it might help you to at least arrange it so you don't forget about shit, and you can always come back to another note. And it's all laid out.
I want to. God, what was the thing I sent you that I thought you would like, but you ended up not because it was like a subscription model?
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Let me scroll up to try to find it. Milanote.
Milanote.
I'm gonna try to use Milanote. So Milanote is a web app that is kind of like a corkboard, a digital corkboard, and slash flowchart kind of thing. I'm gonna try to use that more this year, or at all this year. Not even more. I've not used it. And Milanote, Milanote. For anybody that might want to look into that. I want to use that, see if it fits me.
Yeah.
If it doesn't fit me, that's fine, because I kind of have an idea of how I'm going to be putting this into practice already. But I'm going to see if Milanote can make that better. And the third thing I wrote down quickly before this show went live actually was, when faced with a choice, quickly make it. Because one of the things that I struggle with is choice paralysis, especially as a person with ADHD. A lot of paralysis happens in my life, and I want to cut down on that, and having a yearly theme that directly tackles that might help me form better habits on not making it a choice, not making a decision, i.e. the year of decision. Because there was like 3 different things last year that I was wanting to tack on in addition to this show, and I just never ended up doing it. I was always like, oh, I could do this later or whatever, and I don't want to put off to later anymore for a lot of things. So expect more streams from me, for multiple reasons. Year of Decision being a big one. I'm also getting a proper VTuber model made right now, so that is going to push me to want to stream more, because I'll actually have, instead of just a PNG tuber, a full moving model, which is going to be awesome. So expect more streams. Hopefully, I need to talk with him again. We are going to start doing the comic book tour guide again. I've really just been waiting on this person to figure out how to stream, and have the time to do it, which I think their time off starts relatively soon, or already has. So hopefully here soon we're going to get back to comic book tour guide. So yeah, that's the beginning of my year. That's my yearly theme, the Year of Decision.
Yeah.
No, what?
Well, because while you were talking about that, and you were talking about decisions, I mean, the Year of Decision, but like while you were talking about the whole structure of it, it kind of reminded me of how, because I started thinking about this sort of as you were mentioning that you were changing your yearly theme, and I'm like, my heart's not set on this, but I'm tempted towards changing mine as well in a very specific direction, which is ironic because it's still in the realm of abstract, because that's what it's anyway.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking of changing my yearly theme to instinct, because I have noticed that a going theme throughout my throughout just a lot of things that I don't do that I wish I'd done and want to make a habit out of across my life, whether that's creative, whether that's personal, anything. It's because I have like a paranoia around, oh, if I don't like already know and have a solid thought process around, oh, this is this thing and this is how it works, and I technically, consciously, front of mind know every piece of it and understand it enough that I can be comfortable. There's like an anxiety that I have, that I've had a lot in the past, that is really powerful. Yeah, basically of completely ignoring the fact that instinct is supposed to take care of so much more than I've really thought about. Because, like, for instance, we're talking about creative topics anyway. It's prevented me from drawing, from doing any animations, even from voice acting, which I've picked up as a bigger habit recently. But like, it not only prevents me from doing things, but also makes those things more exhausting, because every time that I'm falling back on my instincts and doing well, I feel the need to make like a conscious thing out of, oh, you're doing it well, you need to keep track of how this is working so that you can replicate it, completely forgetting the fact that instincts don't work that way. Because you know, you learn things to fill your instinct so that it can then become a little bit of a subconscious rhythm that you then go, hey, instincts, can you kick in now? I'll do the basic shit, but I'll just like focus on the vibes as you take the skills from the back of my brain and put it into this thing. And yeah, I do not have the habit yet of like relying on my instincts and just asking them to kick in whatever way works. And I think that has been the biggest thing hurting really any process in my life. And so I'm considering changing my yearly theme to instinct. I'm not set on it, but I'm getting much closer as I talk about it. And I'm curious what you think about it.
I think that's a pretty good one. I feel like you do kind of worry a little bit too much about knowing everything about a thing before you do it.
Definitely.
I've seen that. So I think like the year of Nike, just do it, would be very good for you.
Okay. I did not expect a Nike reference, but I'll take it.
That's just what I thought of how you
Yeah.
were kind of putting it, is just like you just want to do it kind of vibe of it, instead of waiting and learning every nook and cranny that you don't necessarily need to do it.
Yeah. It's also like, even if it's stuff that you do need, consciously thinking about all of it at the same time, and like you're gonna miss the forest for the trees a lot of times, because like even with stuff you know intimately, you have to fall back on instinct. Like when someone's playing piano, they're not thinking I'm hitting, A B G E D E. Like no, they're letting the rhythm of their muscle memory, their instinct, fuel their fingers, and like cause okay, I have a whole theory around this, but I'm only going to briefly go over it. Because I think that most creative matters, probably any of them, can be split into a science and the actual art part. Because the science of it is like, oh, the techniques, the things you learn, the things you like consciously know, the little like tidbits of like tips you can tell people, and just the general technique, the things you can learn. Whereas the art part of it is that stuff that like you cannot consciously comprehend while you're doing it. Is just brain vomit that you organize after the fact, and is hopefully honed in a comprehensible direction by the science part of it. But the science pushes the art into happening, and then the art is then trimmed back down into something comprehensible by going back into the science of it, and they kind of just like teeter-totter between the two. That's my theory about art as a whole. But the whole art part of that dichotomy, that's instinct, and I just put so little stake in my instincts, which is really weird because I do improv and it's like entirely made out of that. But I'm also the kind of person where like once the cameras turn off and I'm off of the set, it's just like, oh, that's really cool that I did that. And it's also really fun if I get to do it again. But God forbid, am I going to look back and like, and think about what just happened and how and why it actually like worked beyond just like the raw structures and formulas of how comedy and stories happen, which comedy theory is awesome as well. It's just like, don't overdose.
That's my favorite Matt Pat channel.
Comedy theory. God, I would so love it. And if anybody has YouTube channel recommendations, breaking down the science of it, because God, I love, because comedy math is so fucking fun, and I love it so much, and I only know so much, and I want to know if people have resources. But yeah, anyway, trust your instincts most of the time, and let your skills fuel your instincts, and let both of them grow in tandem. And yeah, so I'm just gonna say, for the sake of it, year of instinct, and I'm just gonna because I don't want to commit to it, but I feel like my instincts are telling me to commit to it.
Yeah, do it with your instincts and choose instinct.
Exactly. We're starting now. The instinct is the year of instinct. Yeah.
If there's any better day to start it, it's January 1st.
New year, new me. Yeah.
New year, new year.
Yeah. New year, new trip around the sun.
The year of Nike. Let's go. I'm gonna keep calling it that.
You just want to get sponsored, but
look, they got money. I want money.
You want a motorcycle from Red Bull, I see. But
no.
Have you said what you want to say about this particular part of the topic? Because I have a really good thing that this could transition into.
Yeah, I think I'm done with my yearly theme here. What are we transitioning into?
Okay, so you're gonna have mixed feelings about this, and you're gonna have to hear me the fuck out, okay?
Okay.
So for stuff that's like legitimately like important to us about the flow of our life, we're like, hey, New Year's resolutions don't work very well, and that's true.
Yeah, and you have one.
Hold on. And yearly themes work better for things that influence the more important flow of our life, because it's like, someone like, I don't know, committing to like running more, they're going to drop it and they're going to feel worse about themselves because they put the important thing as the New Year's resolution. So this flows into a formula that I have in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Alongside yearly themes, a little side dish that is New Year's resolutions, but it's only cute little, mostly inconsequential and easily attainable shit that cannot be a habit. Because I have a fun idea. So
Well, I would also, I'd like to
yeah.
make a note about something that I don't think I've necessarily spoken on about yearly themes.
Okay.
Yearly themes is not you don't have goals. So
Sure.
you absolutely can have goals. I would just say you don't necessarily phrase them as a resolution.
Sure.
Like, I have a goal of obviously sometime this year I'm going to start back up the comic book tour guide, and another goal of I'm going to stream solo more, just playing games. Those are things that I have as goals that I want to do.
Hmm.
And that will happen this year. That isn't being overwritten by a year of decision. You know?
Sure. It is
So
a
I know
it is
some people
it's a
could
different
very
framing.
easily look
Yeah.
at the year system, the yearly theme system, and go, well, I have goals. I'm not going to do it because I want specific things to happen in my life. And it's like, no, you can have goals.
Yeah. Well, the specific reason that I'm bringing it in the way that I am is because I'm putting back in New Year's resolutions, but in a way that kind of mocks the concept of a New Year's resolution. You'll see why in a second. Because my New Year's resolution is by the end of the year, I want to have seen the Hobbit, the book cut, which you can find if you Google around. Not going to say where. And the extended Lord of the Rings trilogy, which are not habits, and it's just a thing you sit and watch, and it's not, all things considered, particularly long for a New Year's resolution. And so I think that is because I think it's fun to like fly in the face of a traditional sense of a New Year's resolution by just making it something just silly and just like a little splurge thing for yourself, and splurge whether it means money or time or effort. But this has no floor, this idea of effort or time, but it definitely has a careful ceiling to where like it can't be something you have to invest past a certain amount in. And again, certainly can't be a habit you're starting, because that's an easy source of disappointment. But yeah. And so I thought this was a cute idea, cute little funny idea, and I wanted to share it with you.
Yeah. Like I just said, goals are nice.
Yeah.
I would say
Yeah.
that it's like I have the goal of actually watching all of the Lord of the Rings content, including Hobbit. That's good.
Yeah.
I like
It's
that.
just that
I
like
mean, I'm never gonna fucking
part
do
of
that. Fuck that.
Sure.
That's a lot.
It's just part of the charm of it to me is that like, oh, we talked about the things that's like, oh, movement in our life, like I talked about as part of my, because the Year of Instinct, the goal still matches it of like publishing my first few audiobooks this year. Like the super important stuff is still not in this resolution category. This is just like, oh, the cute shit that why did you put such an important sounding name to it of a New Year's resolution?
Yeah.
That's part of the thing. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's it. I was wondering if you had a side to it, but if you don't, you know.
No, I don't have anything quite like that. All of my, I'm still at, unlike where I thought I was going to be this time last year. My life is in a lot of flux right now. There's a lot of moving parts. I've got to move out of where I am now by April, and I'm pretty sure I know where I'm going. But that's going to be a lot, and it's going to change a lot of the extra time I have. And then maybe at some point, I don't know when the time frame of this other thing is, but I might move again after that. And on top of that, I have to go through pharmacy technician training, doing all of the courses related to that, learning a lot. I think tomorrow when I go into work, that's literally all I'm doing is I'm being sent to the back to do learning. So that's been cool. I got to finish that by not August. It couldn't have been August. It would be like October, November. in between there.
I can't wait
So
for
I
the
gotta
moment when
finish
you get
that.
to start giving licensed medical advice of some kind on this show.
Would not be able to do that until I'm like a full pharmacist, and definitely still wouldn't be able to do it on the show. Um,
I'm sure of that.
absolutely
Yeah.
not. Um, if there's
Two
anything
truths and a lie.
Dr.
Medical edition.
Mike has stopped me, it is I am not your doctor. Um,
Wait, is it like? I guess like now is not the time to like talk shit. But I thought Dr. Mike did a fine job. Are you saying no?
no, Dr. Mike doesn't give like necessarily specific medical advice. So it's like, yeah,
That's fair.
be healthy is basically all he can say. It's like, oh, this thing is not recommended for the general public is all he can say for
As
things that are
as
bad.
much as I think this would be a god awful idea for like a doctor with a platform to do. I know it was just a cute little joke a second ago, but I actually really would like the idea of a medical two truths and a lie kind of series where it's not details about their personal life, but it's like, oh, here's 3 pieces of medical advice, and one of them is full of shit, and like it turns into a. Well, I guess like if you reveal which one is the lie by the end of the episode, then that would still be ethical. But yeah, I think that'd be fun
Yeah,
to
I
pick
feel like
apart. But
that'd be such a bad idea.
uh,
People would
I
do so much. Oh no.
yeah,
Mm-mm.
God, I couldn't. I don't think anybody could really pull it off because there's so many ethical hurdles that I think it would probably end up contradicting itself in the first place if you tried. But God, I love just the concept. It's such a fun idea.
It would be fun if people wouldn't get hurt.
Which is the root of most ideas. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Continuing on this kind of New Year's feeling topics.
Mm-hmm.
I want to like go over kind of the things I want to use to bring about the year of decision and what it is going to bring to my life. One of the so I've been a pen and paper person for a while. Sadly, I have not been using my pen and paper as much as I want to. And so I'm going to be doing that more. I have a new Lamy Safari fountain pen and this Tomoe River notebook that I fucking love. Tomoe River, by the way, one of the like oldest Japanese papers that's like
Oh wow.
proper quality. So I don't know if it's made the same anymore. I know the company that originally made it went down and somebody else like bought up the like rights to it. So I don't know if they've changed it necessarily, but it's very nice paper. And
I want to know what this
like,
paper feels like.
it feels amazing. It feels so strange. But like right in front of me right now, I have this notebook. I have a year of decision written in it, 2025, with those 3 points that I thought about while deciding that this was going to be my yearly theme. And I think a notebook, if not this notebook specifically, is going to stay in front of my keyboard for the rest of the year. I think I am going to change it to a product that my favorite podcast makes, which is Cortex brand. Let me pull up the thing. What did they call it? It is the Sidekick Notepad, which is specifically designed to be put in front of your keyboard and like just fit in that space perfectly instead of having a whole notebook in front of you. There is issues with just having a notebook in front of me. But I'm going to get that. I'm also going to get their theme system journal. And I'm going to try to use that properly. I've bought it once before and I didn't end up using it. I don't know where my old version is, but I'm going to buy a new one. It's laid out specifically to help you with journaling about your yearly theme and progress on that. Absolutely love it. So hopefully I'm going to be able to stick with it. Aside from that, I'm going to try to keep to-do lists. as part of my everyday life of things that I want to get done every day. So I'm going to be using Todoist, um, a mobile app. I don't really remember if it's on my computer somewhere I can access. I think it is. I'm going to use that on my iPad, my iPhone, keep track of things that I want to have done. I'm going to try to be on social media more so that I could like boost what I'm doing here on YouTube. I think I'm going to end up doing game streaming on Twitch again, just because I think the visibility for that is greater on Twitch than it is on YouTube. Whereas this show is going to stay on YouTube for many reasons, not least of which is we get similar numbers for it, and all of the VODs are saved in a playlist that is now a podcast on YouTube Music. So
yeah,
that streamlines a lot of shit.
It's also like, just genre wise, I don't know if I share this in common with a lot of people, but I think, I mean, obviously Twitch is a gaming focused platform, but like, and I don't watch a lot of gaming live streams, but on YouTube a number of times. In fact, I used to make a habit out of it with Fat Man Beyond, Kevin Smith and Mark Bernardin's podcast. I used to make a habit of tuning in live. Yeah, it's just like if there's a podcast happening live, I love that shit on YouTube. And that's like something that I know happens on Twitch, but doesn't feel like it's supposed to be there when it happens.
It's not the place for it.
Like it I feel the same way when I see something like, I don't know, when I've seen the Game Awards on Twitch, where it's like, I get it. Like even that to me feels like it's not what it's meant for, but like it totally makes sense that it would happen.
It fits it.
Yeah.
Like it's a gaming focused platform, and so a gaming focused event being live streamed there is good.
Yeah. It's just the fact that it's an award show, like it just like trips up that part of my brain that goes, what? But yeah.
Yeah, hopefully I'm going to be doing a lot more gaming on Twitch. Hopefully going to be like collaborating with more people. I have a new Minecraft server up, and I think I'm going to end up streaming that a lot, just because I love going in there and just vibing, exploring. Because it's a mod pack. I don't know what all mods are in there, so walking around is just finding new shit all the time. Which I think probably Minecraft's best aspect is just walking around discovering shit. But yeah, to help keep on that to-do list, I'm going to hopefully find the ability to make a set schedule at least a couple weeks in advance of when I'm going to be doing things, and try to stick to that schedule, where like a lot of days it'll come out to 3:00 in the afternoon and I'm like, do I really want to stream at this hour? And I just should. Well, I'll make a decision. Instead of just kind of like what I would normally do, and this happened last week. I wanted to stream Sackboy again, which don't go looking for that stream. I deleted it because it has copyrighted music in it. But I wanted to play it knowing that was going to happen, and I do it on Twitch, which is a little bit less scary if I lose the Twitch versus losing the YouTube.
I'm just shocked that you said slurs in it. It's just I don't know if I know you the same way anymore.
You know, I didn't realize that Sackboy wasn't with that life, but
what happens in 2024 stays in 2024.
Yeah, what happens with Sackboy stays with Sackboy. He don't snitch.
He got sacked. Good to see you, Bones.
Hi, Bones. But I wanted to play that on stream again, and I ended up just like sitting there thinking about it for about 4 hours instead of making the decision to just fucking play the game and stream it. So that is one specific thing that I hope this is going to help with, just like either make the decision to do it or make the decision not to do it and do it another time and set a time for that. I want that to be a habit for streaming in the future.
Yeah,
because I
making a
don't want the
deliberate.
only stream I
Yeah,
do every week to be this one. As much as I
yeah,
love this show, I'd like more.
yeah. This is definitely like this is supposed to be an accessory. Like it's a very elaborate and beautiful one, and I appreciate it so much. But yeah, this is not. I don't think this is supposed to be anybody's main avenue. This is like home based check in kind of shit.
Yeah. And hopefully, again, once Comic Book Tour Guide starts up, that's going to be one that's semi regular. I think we used to do it every other week, recording anyway, or releasing, not recording. We definitely didn't record every other week. Um, we would do like, we did like a batch of like 4 or 5 recordings within a couple of weeks, or maybe even just within a week. And then we would record again every 3-ish weeks to kind of keep a backlog going. So we almost never were on time with our releases. So if anything happened in the comic book space, we weren't on time talking about it.
DC went completely bankrupt.
Yeah, and we're learning about that a year later. Um, no, but that show is also turning into a live podcast. And a video podcast is especially. It's not going to necessarily be like this where we're just kind of sitting here, we have a PNG tuber bouncing up and down as we talk. That's going to be a bit more of an active effort from what I understand. So hopefully that one's going to take off. I already loved what we've done with it. If you've never watched my comic book tour guide stuff or listened, there's no video of it. If you've never listened to it, go
Some good
listen
shit.
to the interview episodes. Those are still the best things I've ever made. Especially the one with David Pepose, I think might be my favorite in terms of like how I was able to do an interview like that. The one
Mhm.
with Gary Maloney, while I love it, I didn't have as much of a hand in that one. So David Pepose's interview is always going to be my favorite.
What I think the David proposed one was the one where he recommended. Did he recommend the War of Art? Because like I remember directly
I
from like one
think
of the
so.
episodes you did, one of them mentioned the War of Art, and I like directly took that book recommendation, and it is quite a good book. Yeah, and I appreciated that I got it from there, and yeah, I don't often hear insights into that world. It's like it's that kind of world where it's like, oh, you forget that you don't know what these people's voices sound like. Like, yeah, in their heart through what they write, but like not their mouth, and it's like a little jarring, and in like a nice way. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
love hearing their insights, and especially how you structure it.
Yeah, I think like I don't listen to a lot of interviews, but from what I have listened to in the past, there's always questions I have that nobody fucking asks, and it's a lot to do with the process of how things are actually made instead of
Mhm.
like the furthest you get in a lot of interviews is like, oh, how did you make this decision about a thing? And that isn't necessarily what I wanted. If you go and listen to the David Pepose interview, I ask a lot of like, how does someone end up working on something like the Punisher? And especially not even just like, oh, you're doing the old character, the Punisher. You're writing a brand new Punisher. How
Yeah,
how is the mechanics of Marvel either coming to you or you pitching to Marvel, however it ended up working? How does that work? What are the steps in that? And that was very illuminating. It ended up being Marvel comes to them based on their prior work, because David Pepose wrote Savage Avengers. David Pepose did God, what was the other one he did before Punisher that was mentioned? I need to go through his stuff. I know his new stuff. He's doing amazing. I think he's writing Cable now. So
that's
that's
some
really
good
cool.
shit.
He's doing Space, or no, he's not. Is he doing Cable? He's doing Space Ghost, or is Space Ghost is done. He's doing Speed Racer, I believe, and I want to say he's doing Cable. Let me look that up.
Like, I want to say about interviews more specifically though, that like I'm the kind of person who really does like watching interviews, but the only thing is and maybe I've just like looked in the wrong places until the past recent handful of years. Um, but like most of the interviews I know are from like, oh, mainstream media sources, like either a late night talk show or like some featurette that's like supposed to be like a, oh, we got a special thing for this upcoming movie. And it's like those are great for like getting someone into it and like for feeding your hype if you're like a fan of something, whether it's like the specific franchise or character or story or whole art form. But like if you're already a fan of that thing, those interviews kind of don't cut it for you. And I think that's part of the
Yeah.
reason that like, yeah, if we're a fan of something, we just like stop watching that shit, because like it's only very surface level. And I like that, especially with the rise of things like podcast, and I think even shows like I'll name drop a specific one, the Corridor Crew with their like VFX artist React, and how it's not just like it follows the normal like React formula, of course, but for one, they use all of their like skills from filmmaking to make it look way fancier than you would initially expect a YouTube show to look. But secondly, like there's like an air in the whole thing of like, oh, we're gonna go deep down a rabbit hole of either you give a shit about this a lot or you'll have already clicked off to something else. But everybody who gives a shit is going to stick around for about 15-20 minutes and have an amazing time, and everybody else isn't going to know fuck all of what this is. But it's like, just, it's so juicy, and I love that it's happening more often. But yeah, it's like that is exactly what I felt like was happening when you were, you know, when you were interviewing David Pepose and any of the others for the comic book tour guide. I want to see the juicy
Yeah.
shit. Like, even if I
The-
barely understand it myself, it's like a peek behind the curtain, just so prolifically, no matter how much of it I latch onto, which usually with that, it's some amount of it, you know, it's, God, it's so satisfying. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the two interviews we did kind of mirror each other in very interesting ways. It ended up
Mhm.
being like David Pepose. We ended up mainly talking about. We started talking about Space Ghost, but we actually, I don't even know if we did. I don't know if that was like announced when we did the interview. We ended up talking a lot about his work at Marvel because he's done Savage Avengers and he did Punisher, which I think at that time like just ended his run. And so we ended up talking about how does somebody get into these big comic book studios that are, you know, probably pretty particular about how people are going to put their characters to page, and especially somebody as, for better or for worse, controversial as the Punisher. And that was a very interesting conversation. And then we did Gary Maloney, his interview, where he is a very independent comic book creator. I don't know if he does art or if he's just a writer. I know he didn't do the art on the comics we were talking about. I don't remember the name of the artist. The comic was When the Blood Has Dried, which go fucking read that shit. If you love fantasy, go read that shit. And we ended up talking a lot about how these kind of indie studios work and how getting the word out on indie books worked, especially for Gary and When the Blood Has Dried, which I think ended up getting a couple of like comic awards. I'm not as in tune with comic award panels as like game awards, but it was very interesting to see the kind of high profile Marvel story versus the indie story. I just wish I had more to ask about the indie side of things. I just didn't know the questions to ask in that one, but thankfully my co-host picked up that in spades. He did fucking amazing. I can't wait to get back to that. I hope we do more interviews soon. But I know we're going to come back. We're probably going to end up talking about Superman in more depth than we did on this show. So I can't wait for that.
I mean, that is the more qualified show to do it on, and I am so excited about that. It's like, it's so refreshing every time I get to hear like in-depth discussion about it from like people who one know more of what they're talking about than I do. I have a decent handful. He's got a lot more, and you combined with him. Um,
To be fair,
and
I am the tourist on the tour guide show. I'm not a
yeah,
guide. I also
you two
don't
have
know
a
too much.
yeah,
I might know more than you about the DC stuff, but
yeah.
I would say as a whole, you probably know more about comics than I do.
I the thing is, I my whole thing is there's like okay. My dad used to talk a lot about like this was it a Cary Grant movie? I think it was back in like the 50s or something, where this guy worked at a fishing shop, but he'd actually never been fishing in his life, but he keeps like hearing tips from like customers coming in and talking about fishing because they, you know, like to do that as they're shopping for fishing equipment. So to keep his job, he pretends that he's been fishing, but really he's just regurgitating the stuff from there. And because like I've only, all things considered, like recently become specifically a comics fan. I've been more focused on the movies throughout my life. um yeah, it's like I because like for a long time I made a habit out of, oh, I loved like watching YouTube videos of like people gushing about like them knowing super in-depth stuff about comics, and I would absorb a bunch from that. And then like, you know, my dad grew up with like the golden and silver age of comics, and like he would keep gushing and we'd just talk about it, and you know, we discuss. And I'll just like pass by someone who loves comics. I know I love superheroes, and I get to just pull all that juicy deets out of them, despite having read a surprisingly small number of comics. Like I had like one pretty thick Justice League one when I was a kid. Um, and like I had a handful from Free Comic Book Day throughout the years that I don't remember much about. And it's like, and really, I've only focused on Marvel and Doctor Who in terms of my recent comic book reading ventures. And I would love to get into reading some Superman comics. But yeah, it's like I love to hear people who know what they're talking about take seriously a character that people are so used to discounting as just a Boy Scout. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I wonder. I should probably message them because I want to talk about the Absolute universe, even though I don't think a lot of the comics are out yet.
I
But
think
then
at least a few Batman ones. Yeah.
yeah, I want to talk about that because that seems very interesting.
If they got a working class Batman, what the fuck does Superman look like?
I think Superman ends up the twist with him is that he ends up growing up more on Krypton than like
Oh.
being sent off as a baby.
Oh.
And so that's going to change. Like
Okay.
he's not Ma and Pa Kent baby. He's a bit more of a Kryptonian.
God, what a small change that just massively reorients how I think about the character. I I don't even think I could conceptualize that, honestly.
Yeah, so it's like he has less of an identity as a human. So maybe
Wait,
there isn't. I don't even know
okay.
if there is a Clark Kent persona.
I was
I
just
have
gonna
no
say, is there
idea.
like a Ma and Pa Kent? Like, like, are they even involved, or
I
the
know
planet?
from a panel I saw, he looked to be like almost in his teens when he gets sent
Oh,
off. So he's like, he's a child, but
okay.
he's done a lot of his like growing mentally already. So who knows? I don't know. I need to
You
read
can't
them.
tell me what to do, Mom and Dad. I'm 12 now. I'm like an
Mine,
adult.
Pa.
Ma and Pa can't, as I
You can't
call
tell me what
you
to
directly to
do,
your face,
Mr. Kent.
Mr. Cat. That feels really weird to say Mr. Cat. Even though there's real people named Mr. Cat, I don't want to invalidate you. Yeah, I'm so
But yeah,
excited
so
about it. I don't, yeah.
hopefully I'll learn more on the show
Yes,
that we're
I'll be
gonna do.
happy to hear it.
Um. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
the beginning of this year's gone pretty good. so far, or one day,
The beginning
or
30 seconds of this year.
our
Yeah.
13 hours, 13 and a half hours of this year. Pretty good. Hopefully it's gonna
Yeah.
not all fall apart on January 20th.
You're
So
fucking
we'll
lucky I'm
see.
surrounded by wood. Jesus Christ. You're throwing around a loaded gun there, Ashley.
We'll see. I have pretty good hopes that not everything is gonna fall apart. Things are
Not
definitely gonna
everything,
suck.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's a lot of good things that are still gonna come this year.
Yeah. I was gonna say we're not gonna like name certain stuff, but like I think we already we already did in passing at the start.
Yeah,
But yeah.
we know the big the trump card there, but
Yeah. Good luck, Americans. So sorry. That sounds so condescending. I genuinely mean it.
good
I'm
luck,
sorry.
Americans. Whatever.
I'm so scared.
Thoughts and prayers
But
or whatever.
get over it. Just like this hippy dippy stuff
This hippy dippy bullshit.
with fucking pronouns above my name. Oh,
These
God.
fucking liberals over here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you want to get to anything before the lightning round or?
Jimmy Carter died.
Oh, I didn't know we were gonna cover that on here. Yeah, Jimmy Carter died.
I don't know if we're gonna have a lightning round. We were gonna do spring cleaning. I'm getting tired.
Oh, that's
So,
fine. Okay. Next
Jimmy
time
Carter
on.
finally passed. I shouldn't say finally, like I was waiting for it.
He's 100. Yeah, you can
But
say.
it happened.
Sorry. Yeah.
And that sucks. He was cool. I
Yeah.
don't remember all what he did when he was president. I think he was
He
a
did a
cool
lot of good
one.
volunteering shit.
He was the one before Reagan, so like, you know, it had to have been better than that.
Yeah, it's like if you're right next to Reagan, then like you automatically get a little gold star on your forehead.
You know, if you ran against Reagan, that's good. Just wish you would have won.
I want to make it very abundantly clear, by the way. I don't know how much of a difference there is between you and I here. I am not extremely versed in what Jimmy Carter did to benefit or fuck up the United States of America. So do not take my opinion as anything valuable. Anybody watching, in case you might have.
The big things I remember hearing about was that he did a lot to try to help the average worker. And so all of the, like, you know, millionaire, billionaire conglomerates just made Reagan win. Essentially, he was kind of, he went after oil barons and he went after, you know, like the hyper rich. And so they weren't very happy about that. He was also much more of a pacifist from what I understood. He didn't really just like want to go in guns blazing to every international issue.
You are not about to make Jimmy Carter my favorite president. Good God. Don't do that right after he died.
There was a hostage situation, from what I understand. I need to look into it more to know all the details, but there's a hostage situation for like the entire last year of his presidency where Americans were, I don't remember who they were held by, but like Americans were kidnapped. Essentially, they were held hostage, and the release of them happened January 20th of Reagan's term, the first year of Reagan's term. And if that sounds fishy, probably is. But
this is now a conspiracy theory podcast. But yeah, in no particular order now, my favorite presidents include Abraham Lincoln and Jimmy Carter. And I feel like I'm gonna live to regret saying that, but I don't not for Abraham Lincoln, but like I'm gonna find out something about Jimmy Carter. I'm so used to finding out something about people.
It'd be crazy if we just found out shit about Abe Lincoln now.
And I'm sure there's
like an even worse thing than we already know. Somehow like, something new comes to light. That'd be crazy.
I'm not even sure that it's like hidden. There's probably just something I haven't bothered to know about at least one of these men. But yeah, I'm on that I'm on that like cautious little tread of like, at some point we're gonna find out something about like, I don't even want to say it, but like the thought process is like Fred Rogers as an example. Knock on wood as hard as I fucking can. But yeah, I want to keep some figure of like, doesn't have to be a perfect person, but just not a piece of shit. Thank you.
That'd be great.
Yeah, Jimmy
You know,
Carter.
you know
Hopefully
what's
not a piece of shit.
what's crazy to learn about history is all of the times like a war ended, but one of the countries like didn't sign the treaty. Because like technically the U.S. is still in World War One. Like we did not sign the treaty. We just stopped fighting.
I don't know why that's not funny.
It's really funny. There was like, I don't remember the specifics, but like 2 European countries were at war like hundreds of years ago. And they eventually like the war ended, people stopped fighting, and like a decade ago or something, some random person tasked with like going through their library, their national library, just finds a treaty that they never signed. So like technically we're still at war. Should we like sign this?
Just, I never handed in my ISU. I just, is it too late?
Or no, I think I got this wrong. I got this like almost, it's almost exactly opposite. So one of them declared war but just never sent any troops.
Oh my fucking god.
So they were just at war for hundreds of years and forgot.
Wait. So this makes me think. So okay, from like a bureaucratic level, this makes me wonder. Okay, just give me a second here. So when you're traveling around, I assume there's like guardrails. Like if you're going to travel, taking a plane somewhere for whatever reason, business or pleasure, and like your country that you're coming from is in some kind of like armed conflict with the other country. I can only assume there's some kind of guardrails in place in terms of getting to that country. Perhaps during certain times, especially depending on what airport you're going to, might be prevented you going to that country. And so I'm wondering if there's like a circumstance where like one of these countries that just fucking forgot they're at war with each other, someone tried to go from one to the other while there's not really any discernible conflict going on, and just because the bureaucracy, the paperwork didn't fucking catch up to it, they were barred from entering the country for no reason, not on a personal level, but just as like it's technically unsafe on the books, but that's the best we got for you. I wonder if that's happened.
I don't know. I feel like not. I mean, considering technically America is still at war with the world.
Yeah. Because we can't go, the States can't go anywhere. You guys are fucked.
Like, we are still fighting Germany right now. Like, I could go to Germany.
Can't even step foot in water.
So, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just, like, if it's actually unsafe, like, today, if something like that happened, probably. Because we just have systems in place that would just say, no more planes from the US are going to whatever place we're fighting. That would be an easy thing to implement, but I don't think like any of these old ones are causing any of that kind of issue. Any conflict before computer systems.
If we're still technically at war with Germany, then like let's say if you went over to Germany and you started some shit, like some bad shit, would that be like considered part of that conflict and start like a real fucking bad thing? I'm not gonna like say too many explicit words here.
Only if I kill the Archduke, I guess.
So it has to be an official assassination, which we're not encouraging, by the way, YouTube. That's not even.
Yeah, no.
For legal reasons.
It would just be some crazy American went to Germany and started some shit. That would be it. Unless literally, like, I killed an official or something like that, and then claimed to be sent from the U.S. government.
Yeah, I guess you would have to claim it, wouldn't you? You can tell how
Yeah.
much I know about the finer details of deep bureaucratic function in
I mean,
government.
to be fair, if Germany just wanted any excuse to go to war with the U.S., which would be stupid, they could just use that as an excuse. But
One of you
it's
shot a
weird
puppy in
to
our
talk
country.
about this with jazz in the background.
Just like this. What? This is not the coffee conversation you tend to have. You.
Did I ever tell you how crazy the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand was?
I want you to tell me again, just because I know I'm forgetting parts.
So there was like a group of like 5 dudes who wanted to kill the Archduke, and the Archduke was going through whatever city it was, I forget the name now, in a motorcade, and I think like 2 of the dudes' guns jammed. One dude I think was just like distracted, and one dude had a grenade that he threw and it didn't go off. So like everything that could have gone wrong went wrong with this assassination. And or no, the grenade did go off and it harmed civilians. The grenade went off, harmed civilians, and the Archduke was like, well, I want to go visit the people that were hurt in the hospital to like make sure they're okay, and like good publicity and all of that. Like, oh, I checked on the people that got hurt. And then on the way back to like the motorcade route that they were doing, wherever he was going, the driver was unfamiliar with the streets of this city and happened to go by the wrong road, by a sandwich shop that one of the terrorists happened to be eating at to make himself feel better after failing to assassinate the Archduke. And the car stalled in front of him. And he just happened to look up from his sandwich and say, oh shit, is that the Archduke? And took out his gun and shot him. Like, it is an insane story.
I think I remember one of the times that I heard this, because this really lines up well. Okay. Was in like it was in like a Reddit thread, I think, of if you had to pick one pretty strong piece of evidence that like time travel exists and someone intervened in something, then what would it be? And someone told that fucking story in terms of like, it seemed like, you know, time travelers kept coming in and fucking it up or sabotaging someone else's attempt, you know, because just every possible thing went wrong. It was the dumbest shit in the world.
That reminded me of a joke I heard recently of people aren't barred from going back to when Hitler was born because they were supposed to like, oh, we're supposed to preserve the timeline or whatever. They're barred from it because too many people are going there and it's flooding the time stream. Like there's just traffic.
I remember, yeah, there was some like kind of pretentious quote that was like the in the timeline. Okay, this is just not even gonna be close to verbatim, but I'm gonna try and keep the spirit of it. Excuse me. Hitler's part in the timeline is paved with just droves of of dead time travelers, because they were all trying to like kill him at once is the implication, and they were just like falling over each other, fucking each other up, probably trying to sabotage each other so that they individually could be the one who goes back to the future and you know, reports back that they killed Hitler. It was them.
Like, who?
It was them. Yeah. Oh! Ah! Ah!
Before we continue, hi Zakiri. We had a good New Year.
This is yeah. It's good to see you. Sorry, this is good shouting. This is not frustration. We're having a good moment here. I love this. Oh, that high. If there was a pill for it, I'd be an addict.
Oh my gosh, that was like that's always the thing I think about. Is just like if you go back and kill Hitler, you're not getting any fame because no one knows who Hitler was.
You can't get any credit. Just like, oh guys, I
It's
killed
a thankless job
Archibald.
killing Hitler.
Guys, I did it. I went back in time and I killed Archibald Witwicky. Aren't you impressed? What? What?
Silence.
What are you look? Why are you looking at me like that? Don't you remember?
No, the sad thing about like if you went back in time and killed baby Hitler, it would just be a different fucking dude doing it all.
Yeah,
like Hitler
someone
wasn't
called
the
the
sole like driving force.
Oh, there was a comedy sketch. I am going to try and I'm going to be too distracted from talking about it to find it during this episode, but for the next episode I'm going to find it. In fact, I'm going to put it in as soon as I find it into the Ashleyverse Discord server. And so if you want to follow up on this then later. But anyway, so there's like a sketch comedy duo, I forget which one, where it was the concept of someone like going, hey, I'm gonna travel back in time and kill Hitler, but it was this guy coming back from the past, and like in the timeline he's coming back to is like the one that we're in, where like Hitler happened and everything. And he said, like, I did it. I killed this guy. This massacre, I prevented it. He killed a whole 12 people. And like it was a different dude.
Oh yeah,
and
I know this one.
It turned out.
Turned out he killed this dude, and then that led to Hitler.
And 16 million people. This is.
It's okay to joke about. Steve, tell why this is all okay to joke about. We have permission.
Because it's more about like joking about the dumb stuff of the philosophy. It's because it would have been a power.
I was gonna say it's because you're Jewish, but
it's the contract.
We have permission.
Okay. I think I'm gonna say this. I think the specific avenue that we're in right now is not like oh, I'm Jewish, so this is okay kind of thing. Because it's like we're not mocking the people that died. I don't think so anyway. You could interpret it that way. But,
I just want to make sure that like anybody who could, like be like, why the fuck are they talking about all this? Especially when my title is What to Leave Behind in 2024. It's like, we're cool, we're chill,
also, this show is nothing but context. I just want to say, like, what this whole thing is riddled with. So it's not like
somehow we started on our yearly themes, and now we're talking about sketch comedy of Hitler.
Yeah, killing Hitler specifically.
Yeah, Hitler sketch comedy not as good.
Yeah.
Could you imagine he went to art school not for painting but for sketch comedy?
It turned out he was a shitty painter, but he was like a slightly better sketch comedian, but he just like didn't think it would go anywhere.
What if Hitler was really good at improv?
Shut up. You have to stop. We gotta shut this shit down. No. As we gotta close the show, shut the stream. I'm sorry to the person that just arrived. Zukiri, we love you. It's so good to see you.
Hope you join the Discord.
My face is beet red. Oh my god.
Why does the okay, this is so fucking dumb. Let me tell you a thing that just happened. I was trying to get
have diarrhea.
the invite link to the Discord. But since I'm in streamer mode on Discord, instead of showing the link, it says hidden. Use the copy button. The copy button copies the words hidden. Use the copy button.
Oh god.
So I have to disable streamer mode, go back and get another fucking invite.
I could just put the link in. If you want me to invite people, I could just go in and do that now. Yeah.
Well, no, I'm
Um,
putting it in the chat, but I couldn't get the code because I was in streamer
there you
mode. Because what should
oh,
copy it?
in Discord, it was in the stream.
Yes.
I thought it was because the stream on YouTube was giving you trouble. That's what I thought was
No,
happening.
no, streamer mode on Discord. What? Let me tell you something about the back end of the stream. Every few minutes, so I have like the time graph of how many viewers we have at any given time. Every now and then, it shoots down to 0 and right back up to where we actually are with viewers, and it's really funny to imagine that, like, oh yeah, while we were talking about Hitler being good at sketch comedy, everyone left, and now that we stopped talking about it, everyone's back.
For a second, I thought you get really insecure about it. And so, like, just the framing of somebody who's like this self-development, like this whole thing we've been talking about, your progress with like your life development, and then there's one metric I thought it's gonna be, oh, that's where you're getting anxious. The podcast
No, I
is
don't care, but
taking it to your moment.
most of our views come from after the live, so I'm not too worried about the live stream.
That's
But
fascinating. I didn't know that. I mean, it makes sense. People watching at their own time and pace. Yeah. But yeah, anyway, Hitler did not try improv as far as I know, and that's where I'm keeping it. Just we're
yeah,
good, everybody.
Thanks everybody for coming.
I jo- I
Yeah.
also I feel like we just had a moment where like someone walked into the room and we're like, we weren't talking about what do
We
you
weren't
mean?
talking about Hitler. We swear. We're making fun of him.
Hitler was stupid and not a good guy, just so you know. In
Yeah.
case anybody needed a
So
refresher.
someone should really kill that fucker.
I desperately want someone to clip you saying that specific sentence on the show. Oh fuck.
Thanks for tolerating us, everybody in chat.
By the way, this is where the peak of our viewer count for today is. I want to keep the note in the air.
The most people listen to the Hitler part.
That's like, yeah, yeah, this is where you're going with this. Like,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, to be clear, Nazis suck.
Yeah, we fuck Nazis. Unironically, say it with me, everybody. People in the back, fuck Nazis.
If you're
And
a Nazi, number one, stop being a Nazi. Number two, give me money.
No, we're not taking Nazi money. I'm
Well,
gonna
then
veto
they
that
won't be
shit.
able to use it on Nazi shit.
That's a fair point. I don't like this. I don't want Nazi money.
Like, I'll use the money for better things.
I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will. Oh, I need a shower.
Like, do you want them to use it on another march? Like,
What the fuck do you think? No.
like if they're gonna use their money. Also,
Well, yeah,
I don't
we
know
just-
how any Nazi could watch this show. We're so fucking
Like-
everything they hate.
Just like,
That'd be
I
crazy.
love the thought of like, you know, a group of Nazi friends going on a shopping spree where it's like, oh, you know, oh, we wanted to support our favorite local business held by like a, you're not non-binary. I don't think a trans. Are you non-binary?
We talked about this at the beginning of the show.
Right. I'm sorry. My blood vessels are not working. They should be right now. A non-binary, polyamorous, communist person, and her Jewish friend. So anyway,
I like the riff for the jazz and the music happened right as you finished that. That was really fun.
that did not happen on my end.
Do you
Oh my
think
God.
like later in the year, like
We're gonna delete this VOD? Dude, is that what
no,
you're asking?
no, I was gonna say, do you think later in the year, whenever like the Ku Klux Klan has their meetings, they're like, "What the fuck do we wear? It's after Labor Day." And that's the joke we're gonna end on today. This episode went off the fucking rails.
This is totally that gay. Hope everybody has a lovely 2025. We'll be with you.
We really fucking went somewhere today.
Are you even still streaming? I don't even know if you're.
Yeah, we're still streaming. Yeah, no, we're going.
Okay. Yeah, because like that seemed like.